Hello, guys. Hey, this is Christina, First Lady President of the White House. We have a special guest today, my uncle, no other than Tyrone Green. I'm going to call him now and see what's going on. He have things to say to shed light on some topics. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. So I'm pre-recording this for the purposes of YouTube. So y'all stay tuned. Here's his picture, so you get to put the face behind the name and the voice. So yes, Mr. Green, how are you?
I'm great. Can you adjust your mic just a tad bit?
All right. On my end, or yours?
So I can hear you.
Oh, you don't hear me?
You sound far away.
Oh, I do. Okay.
A little bit low.
All right. Let me get my sound. How about now?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay. So I guess when I talk in the mic, it gives a little feedback, but I want to just make sure they hear you. So, because they could hear me. Y'all can hear me, right? Yeah. All right. Say it again.
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
All right. Gotcha. I don't know why I can't hear you though. Is enough. Okay, I see why. Okay, now you can talk. Yeah. All right. So good thing it's edited. All right, Mr. Green. Guys, this is Mr. Green from El Paso, Texas. Is a very long friend of the family. One of being my Uncle Chris from high school, elementary. They knew each other for a very, very long time. He has military experience in intelligence from the United States Army, as well as being a director of Goldmil and Steen, a nonprofit agency that's starting from the ground up in El Paso, Texas, and will be working with White House and has been working with White House for over the past year or so, supporting us 110%. And yeah, we have him here today. And yeah, Mr. Green, what do you want to say to the people out here?
I'd like to say thank you for having me on your show, Miss Christina of the White House.
Well, you're welcome, of course. Always welcome. And it's good to have you here today. First thing I want to do is just, I know you have military background and there's a lot of things going on in the world today involving war and things of that nature. But what was it like for you serving in the military?
The experience, it was gratifying. I met a lot of people that that enlightened me on a different way of looking at the world. Not only with just discipline, but the education part of it, where we in our communities are not aware of all the opportunities that are available to us.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that on so many levels. So I'm glad that you were part of the Army and serving us. I have family that was in that, so I appreciate your services as well as I know our viewers do as well.
Very well.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. Mr. Green, also, I mentioned real briefly about you being a director of Goldmil and Steen, which is a nonprofit business you've created in El Paso beginning. And I know it's something you want to really pit your experiences from military as well as your professional experiences to work for the world, if that's right. So what is Goldmil and Steen on purpose and goals? Like, what is it for you?
Goldmil and Steen it will start out as a camp. It'll be a 3-month camp, and that the camp will consist of creating new products for our community, especially the urban community. So we got several things. It's pretty much like a Job Corps on steroids, if that can better describe it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, presumably coming from the military background, I'm sure there was a lot of discipline involved and structure. So I could see how that would be definitely needed today with everything that's going on. So I can see why you were graded. Well, what's the goals of it outside of, the actual structure and how you structured it?
Well, the goals are to be counterintuitive to the systems that we got put in place today. For instance, the revolving door of the crime, our youth crime, the revolving door of the community as being in debt, and then the other revolving door of being in debt and also credit is all messed up and jacked up. So starting from scratch, pretty much building a new community that will not need the systems that are put in place today.
Wow. And that's a powerful thing to do. I mean, that's very unselfish act. I must applaud you again, not to keep applauding, but I love black men, women alike that are focused on the bigger picture, which in turn, your purpose and your goals are more befitting for the world versus your own personal gain, which, is kind of basing on something I titled us as. I think the topic of today, which I kind of knew your direction, is like, I wrote a phrase, if you could follow it, and everyone out there in the world, based on his military experience, professional values and goals for the world, families, agriculture, health, etc., which he hasn't even gotten into. He just put a little spice on what, a little sprinkle on what Goldmil and Steen represents, But I wanted to say on a topic, or to branch off to kind of summarize it, is racing. And I don't mean racing like you're running with your legs, but racing without color or legs to our culture as a people of great power and responsibility. Now, what I mean by that is a lot of people want to do things based on race. A lot of people want to take and pick color on things that is not about that, and it's not about racing. So when I'm saying racing, we're not talking about a marathon, but we're talking a marathon of life, the longevity of life, as well as it not being something that's color influenced. Whether you're white, black, Spanish, Chinese, no matter where you're from, is about us as a culture, a human race, to work our powers and our responsibility in order to help the world, which is literally what White House represents. And I see, which is why I'm doing this interview, Goldmil and Steen definitely represents. So, I mean, just to kind of I want to go into some of the topics under this, racing without color. How do you feel, coming from your background, about the new gun laws in the world today as a former military intelligence agent?
Well, it's a stigma in our communities because if you went to like Google right now and did a search and you said most crimes committed by anyone, okay, look, Google will pretty much be biased and put this article up that says, and I'm going off the fly right now.
Well, I got that article up. Is it the one according to the FBI and African Americans? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll read that. Okay, I'll read that for y'all. Because he sent it to me through text, so I want to share it with y'all so he won't have to boggle his mind. It says, in following, this is something you can research on Google. So, guys, it's just about y'all researching the right stuff so we can move forward in unity. So what it says is, according to the FBI, African Americans accounted for 55.9% of all homicide offenders in 2019, with whites 41.1% and others 3.0% in cases where the race was known. Among homicide victims in 2019, where the race was known, 54.7% were black or African American, 42.3% were white, and 3.1% were of other races. And without him going into it, because he doesn't have that information here, just to not read through everything, guys, but I just wanted to touch on some numbers.
Yeah, you can do that. You could do that also.
Okay, so you want to talk first? Because, I want you to be able to elaborate on what you just heard.
Well, what contradicts that whole statement and what they just said, according to 2019, well, if you go to www.ojjdp.gov, it contradicts exactly what Google just put out. One. And then two, FBI, if you go to the FBI website, which is ucr.fbi.gov, that statement also gets contradicted also. And if you want to read the numbers, you can.
Okay. So the FBI is usr.fbi.gov. Could you repeat the other one for me, please?
The other one is www.ojjdp.gov.
Okay.
And that deals with all the races and they put that into a database.
Yes.
And it's a government database, and this is the database that us military people would use in profiling a demographic.
Okay.
So that statement with the gun laws and everything, making them a little bit more strenuous on our community is pretty much ridiculous, and it's propaganda. It's not really going to happen in the way and fashion that is stated.
Okay, so what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, on Google, they're not really facts. Like, they're kind of exaggerating that it's a lot of black people. But in fact, you also sent me some statistics that's from the sites of the FBI as well as the www.ojjpd.gov, which includes all races that military background people as well as the government uses to get the real statistics, the breakdown. Yes. So just to show you guys as far as numbers, just a few, I don't want to go through them all. But as far as, let's say, murder and non-negligent manslaughter, whites are at a total of 4,729,290 that murder and non-negligent manslaughter, where to go to black people is 1,815,144. That's almost over 3 million people of white people committing murder and manslaughter. As far as rape, they got rape at, just as far as whites, is 11,588. That's just on the white level, not total. But black people, 4,427. Just to do a few more, which is what I want to go into, weapon carrying. Whites, 60,000. Blacks, 45. We're still lower. Prostitution, 10,000 whites, 8,000 blacks. And just to kind of skip down, guys, to some other facts that he sent through these sites that I would recommend you guys go and see, is that we are being told that we're doing more crime, more rape, more prostitution than our counterparts or races, when in fact, not what Mr. Green says, not what White House says, but it's facts that the government uses to get these statistics, and Google does not have that information. So just be mindful of who you're studying with, where you're getting your information from, because Google is not the end-all, be-all as far as facts. So as you can see, Google said we are at the top of these crimes.
Install a SIM card first.
But in fact, we're not at the top of this. The whites are. So just be mindful, and I just wanted to move on and not spend too much time on that, but it's just about us bringing facts rather than propaganda.
What stigmatizes us is the media that are paid to make us look like we are less than what we are.
Absolutely.
And that's what, and going back to the race, human race, to care about the human race is to not do these things. And so Goldmil and Steen will pretty much start from scratch by creating things that are factual, that are truthful, and not biased.
Okay. Yes, and changing the system and making it less fraudulent or false information, fake news or whatever. Okay, so that goes right into what I was asking as far as you being of military background, about how do you feel about the gun laws in the world today? I wanted you just to elaborate on that a little bit, because some people saying to take all the guns, some people saying that everybody should be licensed to carry or at least be able to carry a weapon. What do you feel about that?
This is what I don't really
feel. Yeah.
I'm I'll elaborate on what you mean though. Okay, so in Texas, Lone Star State, Texas, we do not have the gun laws like other states. The gun laws are, you're allowed to